Here's the image.
Unfortunately, it hasn't calmed down yet.
You need a cramp on that.
I know.
Getting over it. I'm getting better at that.
Hi everybody, good morning. Good, how are you?
You got everything in the catalog now?
Yeah. Yep,
It's
all
in the
done.
catalog, but where is it?
All done.
Oh, shit.
Assuming the catalog is up here, right?
Okay. What's the catalog? That's nice.
How's that going on?
So yeah,
How's it going?
good actually. We're putting the sort of volunteer policies in place right now, and I'm selectively pulling boxes and staging them for our first task, which is the books. Books are planned to be done sometime mid to late January, and we'll just kind of go through and.
How long the process do you think it's going to be? A couple of years or months?
No,
Or keep the binder or keep it.
the goal is to have it all done by the time we go back into the depot, which will be June. So,
Let's see when we're done.
hopefully. Depends a lot on how many volunteers we get. Brown, and we're gonna do 2 to 3 hours.
Seems awesome.
Volunteers.
It's going to be weeds.
Yeah, because it's like, oh, this is cool, but not necessarily historical items. You know. Newspaper was long. Or something. I'll send it to you. Yeah, we're making progress.
So that's the one that's costing us.
Hey, Ron.
I don't have my glasses.
Good.
Not too bad. Anything from Shannon?
Sir?
Oh, beautiful. Mad at me?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Oh, you look tired. I thought you were
sick, I really enjoyed it.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I'm better today. I'm still sick, not like I was. Let me bring that one up, and then do I need to send her to the
Christina,
No, ask her.
That's great.
Says yes, I'll send her.
Tim, not too bad.
Yeah, I think.
Good crowd last night. I know.
The yellow one.
Have a drink everyone. We just have a drink. And then- tonight.
Yeah, I need to connect with. Committee meetings are on my. I can't get over there.
What's that?
I still want
It's on the thread.
Runway like the aircraft.
So they turn them along.
Andrew, do we win?
Airport tower.
Yeah.
Covered from something. Getting better now.
Okay.
Come down. Stuff going.
All right, council. Ready for vote? No. Let me know, yeah. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Pittsfield Town Council for 2018. Meeting by to stand and pledge allegiance with me. I pledge allegiance to America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If we may have a moment of silence, please. All right, thank you very much. Okay, before we get started, I'd like to say please have your tablets and phones on vibrate or off. Let's try to keep the side conversations to a minimum, keep distractions down. We have a full slate, full plate, a lot of work to do tonight, so let's get right into it. I'll look for adoption of the minutes, please.
Move we adopt the minutes of the meeting of December 4th as written.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions, comments, councilors? Very well, hearing none, I says we're ready to vote. All those in favor of adoption of the regular meeting minutes held on December 4th, 2018, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those against nay. Ayes have it. Adoption of the minutes has been approved. Move on to number 3, presentations, congratulations, and introductions. Captain, please.
Yes, very good, thank you. For community and economic development activities and events, we have a wonderful annual Christmas tree lighting ceremony that was on Wednesday, December 5th at 6:00 p.m. in Hawthorne Park. Everybody had a wonderful time. It was the kickoff for the bicentennial for our 200th anniversary. The free Christmas movie that was hosted by Warsaw Middle School Jobs for Maine's Graduates Grant, JMG, was on Saturday, December 8th, and that was a wonderful event that everybody was happy with the giveaways, the free items, and the movie. For new business activity and opportunities, we have 2 new businesses coming to town, in addition to the ones that I had indicated at the last several meetings, and a proposal that is currently coming before the town. We just received it today, so it's exciting for industrial park lots. But the 2 new businesses that have received business certificates and are ready to go after inspections is Maine Central Motors, that is located at 485 Main Street. owned by Paris and Renee Bacon. And our second new business is located at 168 Estelle Street. That is Amanda Sharples for Gracielin Photography. So it's wonderful to have some more vehicle work locations and photographer. I also have an update on the Main Street sidewalk project. This is a project that we called DOT about a bit because they have some work that needs to be done. I had our engineers, CES Inc., and specifically Chip Haskell, contact the state of Maine again because we did expect to have some design work that we would be able to start working on. And he has indicated as follows from Chip at CES on the Main Street sidewalk design update. Per our conversation, we're sending this email or this letter to provide an update on our understanding of the status of the project. As we discussed, much of the design work will need to be completed hand in hand with the design from the Maine Department of Transportation, which begins with their completion of survey work. Per our kickoff meeting in August, the MDOT had planned to complete this survey work in November, so of course we anxiously have been awaiting it. However, as CES and the town found, from talking with Randy Barrows at the end of November, they have not yet started the work. Further, given the weather, it's not likely to be completed until next spring with their design to follow. And so I asked him again, is there any way we can start doing some work? And he has indicated that we could survey it ourselves and begin to design the sidewalk. We need to have a firm understanding of where the MDOT intends to design the roadway both vertically and horizontally, which we do not have at this point. Our design needs to begin from this foundation, otherwise we would be guessing where to locate the sidewalk. It is almost certain that changes would have to be made once the MDOT design is underway. And we had discussed that when Steve Vance was present at the walkthrough. If we did start it, then we would have to go back and change things. Unfortunately, each time CES indicates that they have to go back to the drawing board, it will result in additional costs to the town. Additionally, with the survey work initially planned to be completed by the MDOT, the town would incur the cost of CES Inc. completing this work. We understand your concern with the schedule, however, we think the town is best served by allowing the sidewalk design to follow the MDOT design. There are many variables that the MDOT needs to work through that will drive the eventual location of the sidewalk, and this is the elevation of the proposed curb, relocation of utilities, open ditch locations, right-of-way, etc. Designing the sidewalk first really puts the cart before the horse in his opinion, which is true. With the information from MDOT and some level of certainty with their design, we can still have a sidewalk design completed well ahead of the final MDOT design. And he's willing to come to any meetings that we would like to further discuss that. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much, Catherine. We shall move on to number 4, public hearings and old business, ordinance 18-4. Michael, if you could read that into the record, please, the revised.
Ordinance 18-4. The town of Pittsfield hereby ordains the 2019 capital budget be approved as follows. Town offices telephone system for $10,000. Town offices tiling floors and move, $10,389. Municipal building generator replacement, $35,000. Municipal building wash and seal repoint, $26,840. Police cruiser video system, $7,000. Fire station masonry replacement, $15,838. Airport grant match reserve, $90,000. Library capital reserve fund, $5,000. Total projects and reserves, $200,067. Total projects reserves, funding breakdown, taxation, $200,067. Funding by loan, $2,133,640. Funding by lease, purchase, $125,000. Funding by reserves, $33,000. Funding by special revenues, $15,755. Funding by theater loans, special revenues, $90,939. Funding by grants, $1,800,000. Funding by other resources, $362,470. Total to be raised by taxation, $200,067.
All right, look for a motion from the council for the revised.
I move we set ordinance 18-4 to public hearing. Is that what you want to hear?
No, we have a revised.
Oh, we have a revised one. Okay, so you want to read the...
If you can just read the revised sections for the record, then we can
Okay.
make that a motion. We'll.
Yeah, I move that we revise ordinance 18-4 as follows. Remove the town offices and telephone system upgrade for $10,000. Decrease the airport/grant match reserve to $45,000 and remove the library/capital fund reserve of $5,000. That brings the total project/revenues to $140,067. And then we change the total project/reserves to $3,273,231 by decreasing the funding by taxation to $140,067 and funding by loan to $706,000, making the bottom line total to be raised by taxation of $140,067.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Anyone in the audience wishes to speak for or against? Comments?
So is this the proposed by taxation, is what going to increase the mill rate?
This 140,000, that's the mill rate, correct? Please, if you would.
Yes, excuse me. The $140,067 would be the impact on the taxes or the mill rate. So that's part of the budget. We're required under the charter to have this section on the capital separate. All of the other items listed here for the different projects that would be funded by different mechanisms, those are not having an impact on the taxes. So that would be correct.
So is this the discussion on the budget, or is this not?
It's a
I'm just trying to
discussion
determine
on
where
the
my comments are going to be relevant.
Yeah. It's a
That I would
discussion
need.
on the capital part of the budget.
It's the next one that
Next
we're going
one
to get
is
into all the
operating,
Very
so the
good.
next one is the one you're interested in.
These are the changes that came about the budget process this year.
Yeah, you would comment if you don't want to do one of those projects, like doing the masonry replacement or the generator or the flooring or something like that.
I'm good.
All right, thank you very much. Anyone else in the audience have any comments for or against? Any questions? Very well, thank you. Councilors, any questions, comments? Yes, Doc, please.
Yeah, I've got a question on the $90,939 for the theater loan special reserve. Is that, special revenues, is that in there, or is that if we get it?
All of the items that are listed down below, even the loan, can only be done if you agree to do it. The rest of these items, the lease purchase, that's if you agree to do it. And then items such as the grants, the theater, special revenues are only if you get the monies. So you are correct.
Okay.
And other resources only if you get them.
So
we
that's only
do-
if we get the money.
Correct.
So if we don't get the money, do we have to make up an extra $90,000?
No.
Okay.
No, we wouldn't spend it and we would not do any projects.
Okay.
So that line item that Doc was talking about, that's not operating costs, that's repairs, maintenance, upgrades that
It would be
requires.
upgrades,
Yes,
correct,
okay.
yes.
So it's not the operating expenditures.
Okay, thank you.
All right, very well. Anything else, Council? Very well. Since we're ready to vote, all those in favor of ordinance 18-4 as revised per the amendment proposed 2019 budget number 2, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. The amendment to proposed budget 2019 budget number 2, ordinance 18-4 passes as revised. Ordinance 18-5. Michael, if you could read that, please.
Ordinance 18-5. The town of Pittsfield hereby ordains that the 2019 operating budget in the amount of $3,312,339 be approved and the total sum of $8,073,210 be appropriated, operating plus capital budgets. And further, that $1,579,593 be raised through taxation. That $303,507 be raised from estimated revenues. That $229,796 be appropriated from state revenue sharing. That $125,000 be appropriated from lease purchase. That $2,133,640 be appropriated from loans or bonds. That $33,000 be taken from reserve funds. That $15,755 be appropriated from special revenues. That $90,939 be appropriated from theater loan special revenues. That $1,800,000 be appropriated from grants. That $362,470 be appropriated from other revenue resources, and that an additional sum of $399,510 be taken from undesignated fund balance.
All right, thank you, Mike. Before we open to discussion, I'll look for a motion from the council for revision as previously.
Move we adopt ordinance 18-5.
You want to read in the...
I'm sorry. Open it up just a call.
We have to revise the open.
So I move that we change ordinance 18-5 and add $3,681,801 as the operating budget for 2019, and that the total sum be changed to $6,955,032, and that $1,776,636 be raised through taxation, and that we change the estimated revenues to $1,415,146, and skip down a couple, and we change the amount to be appropriated by lease and bonds to $706,000.
Motion?
Second.
Motion and seconded. All right, I will open it to discussion, questions, comments from anyone in the audience on ordinance 18-5 as revised. Yes, sir.
I have 2 questions.
Yes.
So this proposed budget amount, the mill rate's gonna go from 21 to 23.13? Is that what I'm seeing with the papers?
Is that correct? The correct numbers?
So if a mill ends up being $200,000, then the mill rate could go up to $2.13 on top of the current rate. Now, I did go through and came up with, after multiple times, additional $21,000 that I found. And I thought, well, this is wonderful. But I did find, as I told you before the meeting, that it only changed the amount of taxes by $9 on a regular home. So that actually, with the 2 changes before the council tonight, a mill at $200,000 would result in a mill change of 2.03 mils. If a mill is $250,000, it would be 1.62 mils. And then, in looking at the amount of taxes, there's a document that lists all this information that's also on the town's website and has been out in the front office, and indicates that on an average one-family dwelling, property. We ran those through the assessing program and found that the average value is $108,449. So the current 2018 mill rate is $21, and taxes on that property would be approximately $2,277, leaving off the cents. The 2019 mill rate would result in taxes of $2,508. So basically, you've got a difference on that home. If a mill is $200,000 of $231. If a mill is $250,000, and it can differ a lot due to the personal property and the bedding, as well as the homesteads. If it's $200,000, then the taxes would be $2,462 as an estimate, which is an increase of approximately $184. So the regular average value home, which includes the land, would be increased by $184 to $231 with those assumptions. So yes, it is a major tax increase.
So with that, I have some more unpopular questions. And I want to go on record as saying that I like the theater, and I think it's a good thing, but when I'm sitting here as a resident and looking at this kind of an increase, well, before we even go there, if the theater was not in there, what would that do to the mill rate? Before I even go to that.
All right, we would have to take the expenses and the revenues. So let me think on the easiest way to do this.
Is it significant?
Yeah, you
It's
said
just-
$20,000 was $9 on the average.
I'm just thinking about the easiest way to come up with the most accurate figure.
What's the total cost we put to the theater every year? Do you have that number?
Yeah.
What do we
So that was
have?
going to be my next question, but before I went there, I wanted to
Well,
see
that's,
if it even made a difference.
well, I think that's the only way we can get an idea what it is, how much it costs to run that theater for a year. Let's say 2017, because this year hasn't been completed. Take that off the bottom line.
Mhm.
It'll be,
Gotcha.
fractions of a percentage.
It is
Maybe a
very-
percentage or two.
Very small. So the operating budget for the theater for 2019 is $145,366, and then the theater revenue that is projected is $57,664. So we have a difference of, well, that, I'm gonna do it in my head because it's gonna work better than the machine here. Minus. All right, $87,702, and if you divide that by 200,000, it is 0.44 of a mil.
So it's really not that much. Well, I'll still make my comments, because, like I said, I like the theater and I'm for the theater, but I'm not for, I believe you, if you had a business and it runs in the negative by thousands and thousands every year for, you cannot sustain business. And that's, I guess that'll be my only comments, because I'm not for having a fairly large increase. So the water and sewer tax, sewers is gonna also go up as well?
That would be a separate issue.
Well, I realize that, but I'm looking
discussed.
at it as a resident,
Mhm.
and what I'm looking at for a tax increase and sewer and water increases,
Mhm.
any other increases
Yes.
that might come in the school budget.
No, you're
County
entirely
increases.
correct. Yes.
And then we're running the theater at a significant amount of money loss. So I don't see how we could justify that as a, sitting here as a resident, to have that kind of, increases across the board and be running so many years in the negative with that theater. That's my comments.
May I respond to that quickly? One thing that I get stuck by, and I think a lot of other people have, they consider the theater a profit center. It never has been considered, never has been really run as a profit center, just like the police department or the fire department, or the water and sewer department. We don't supply the funds to make money. Of course, if it was a business only, then it would be a business decision. But I consider it a service that the town offers. That's the only comment I want to add. That's the way I think about it. That's why I understand everything you're saying, and I agree 100% to a point. But when you consider it, a service that the town provides, you really have to use a different rule to measure. Yes.
That theater has been for making back less tickets or by sessions. The things that we have, it has to become a realization that it's a great mainstay in the community. I'd like to see it stay. Obviously, again, we're not looking at it as a business, but at some point, I think we really need to look at the sustainability of the theater itself. And number two is that it's not just the citizens of Pittsfield that use that theater. And there's a lot of people from out of town that we're subsidizing as taxpayers to use that theater. Now, whether we do something to, I don't know, increase the fee or something, or we have to bite the bullet and say, it is what it is. But, I mean, at this point, if everybody's going to subsidize the theater, then these residents from Pittsfield shouldn't get charged, and they can make tons of money off the concessions, because I'll buy 3 times more concessions at the movie theater when I go. But I think at some point, maybe that's where we need to look at. We subsidize a lot of communities, and we've done it for a long time, and we have been a leader, a regional leader in the area to help other communities and stuff. But at some point, we have to be realistic, and we can't keep upping our mill rate so everybody else around us can keep a $12 or $15 mill rate, and they get to share in our services or get to share in our community. And it's the same way, like you said, with the parks and with some of the other things that we have here in town. And our rec department, I think, is great. If you got kids that want to come from other communities, and if we're subsidizing the rec department, and our kids can play for $15 or $20, and then the other communities may have to pony up just a little bit more to help out with our expenses, because ours are going up. And I think that's maybe something that we need to look at.
Mm-hmm. All right, thank you, Don. Any other comments? Anyone in the audience? All right, thank you. Councilors?
Well, I guess while we're talking about the theater, there's a lot of things to talk about tonight on this issue. But I guess my thought about the theater is, like you look at the two things that the town offers that are not really, or not two things, but the two major things that kind of jump out into my mind that are very, very similar are the library and the theater. They're obviously really neat things. And the reason why the theater jumps out to me as something that needs to be addressed more aggressively by the town council and the theater committee working together is that I think that the building and the trend, what we're doing there is not sustainable. There needs to be money spent on the building, and just kind of ignoring it and acting like, and just putting Band-Aids on it, I don't think is the best plan to continue to do. So it is going to be my recommendation that, not in this budget cycle, because there's a lot of other things to hash through here, but that going forward, that we, in 2019, that the town council take a real hard look at the theater, and I'm not talking about cutting it. I'm just talking about really, trying to, figure out, how can we maybe seek additional funding, or what can we do to try to, I know one of the new theater committee members, her and I were talking the other day, and we were talking about how, trying to make it more of a performing arts center. Do we not even use that building? Do we try to make a whole new building? Do we try to, I think that's what needs to be thought about is, what is the future of that? It seems like less people are going to it. Maybe am I saying that right? I mean, it's getting used less and less as just a movie theater, because it's like paper, we're going away from paper. It's like people watching traditional cable TV. That's kind of changing. People are going to tablets and stuff, and it's just a change that is coming, and I think we need to look at the theater with those changes in mind and try to figure out, how we can do that. That's my opinion of the theater, and but I mean, I don't want to cut the library, because the library makes $0. I mean, because I think it's an important service to the community. I have little kids, and I know everybody here had little kids, or whatever. I mean, that was an important thing, and it's not just important for little kids, but so that's my opinion on the theater. Anyways, so I think that your comments are well heard on the council, I guess.
Tim?
I'll make it brief. I think in some cases I agree with Caleb and Donnie. I know that modern technology is getting a hold of things here. Like you and I had this conversation before. Post offices 12 years from now aren't going to resemble what they are now. Paper mills aren't going to resemble what they are now. There'll be some, and I want to make sure that we have some. Now, the other part of that is, I think that the public needs to be aware. And I mean, we get busy, and it's nobody's fault. It just happens. The public needs to be aware that the movie theater really needs public support. They need a drive to get things done, like we did with the swimming pool. The swimming pool creates $0. Well, I don't want to get rid of it because it's a service to our kids. The library doesn't create a dime. But on the other hand, the educational opportunities are enormous. Okay, so we keep that as a service for our kids. The other part of that is, I know that theater needs a lot. Okay, but the other part of it we got to think about as a council is, do we really want? And I agree that maybe that's not big enough, or what do we want to do? But the other part of that is we've got to think about too, is we've got to move very carefully on it, because number two, you don't want a hole sitting there in Main Street falling down with nothing in it. You think they squawk now? They'll be squawking later if that happens, because I don't see, what are we, at least on the East Coast, there's only a handful of, I don't even know, maybe there's 3 community theaters in the whole East Coast, if not east of the Mississippi, like you said. I know at least on the East Coast.
The United States.
United States. So I believe that if it's done properly and people in this town and surrounding areas understand what's going on here, that the theater committee, I know Donna, I know my wife's on the theater committee, they're welcome to, anybody can come into that committee and put their 2 cents worth in, and it'll be soundly taken and written down. They may not be official members, but they might just as well be. It's a community theater. We want it to thrive. And I think going forward, we need to really push that and try to save it, if we can, with things, and there's all kinds of ideas. I mean, I don't want to get into ideas, we got too much of a thing, but I'll tell you one and I'll tell Donna one when I'm done. I told it to the wife the other day. But it's just little stuff like that. I think we need a big push to try to save that, so we don't wind up with either no theater, a theater where we don't want a theater out someplace else, or you want a hole in the middle of Main Street and you got people in here screeching their head off because it looks bad. You know what I mean? So I don't want it to we got to take it all into consideration. And I think that's for our future council. I think it should be done fairly quickly next year.
All right, thank you, Tim. Before I ask for more comments, I'd like to focus on the ordinance 18-5 items. We spent considerable time on several other meetings talking about the theater, and it's well worth we talked about.
This is in it, though.
Yeah.
This is in it.
Yes.
Yeah.
The 90,939, yes, I understand that.
Yep.
But I don't want to get off on a tangent talking just about that. We have a long ways to go.
Oh, yeah.
Any other comments, Council?
I think that it's important to realize that a lot of the increase that we're looking at here is not just from the theater. There's increases across the board on some of the operating. I've spoken about the theater before, and my thoughts on it are much kind of in between what everybody said, as far as, I enjoy the theater and I like going, and it's really neat. I don't see it as an essential thing in town, even though historically people have very strong opinions about that. I wouldn't characterize it as the same importance as the library per se, that has, I would put the library more with our schools versus the theater being something that's nice and kind of neat. A little quirky, kind of puts us on the map, but I don't see it as an essential service when there are so many people that come from out of town to use it. But that being said, a lot of the other increases that we've gone through the budget, and I commend Catherine and the committee, the department heads for the work that they did within their operating budgets and trying to find cost savings and more efficient ways of doing things. Because I think that every year when we go through this, it really makes people look at their departments and how they're run, how they can be more effective, whether, does it make sense to add that extra piece of equipment because we can get more work done? Like in the case of the brush machine, that has to be, all the road maintenance stuff has to be done first before we start redoing the roads and stuff. So there's a lot in this budget aside from just the theater. We have new positions that as a member of the finance committee, we went through and tried to place emphasis where we thought that it needed to be as far as services to the town. So, I think it's a good budget, theater issue notwithstanding. So I'll just leave it at that. It's an increase. There's no doubt about it that it's an increase. But $231 on an average size home is less than $20 a month. When you put it in perspective. So $5 a week or so.
And that has a lot of impact.
Yep.
The increase.
So,
A lot of impact.
I guess I'm going to bring up my idea. Are you all set?
Sure.
Okay, so I've got a pretty big idea here, okay? So, I don't like the budget. And I am not against the increase. I think that, we're basically looking at like a 10% increase on the budget, and I'm okay with that. But there's one thing that I will not vote for tonight, and that is I will not vote for a budget this big that puts this much money towards paving. This much. $0, guys. Zip. So we're going to go to the town and ask for a 10% increase and put $0 towards paving. And Heather, you brought it up at the last town council meeting. I thought it really stayed with me for the past 2 weeks, and I'm like, how do we do this? Like I think you're right. We're going to be right back here next year, 2019. We're going to be sitting right here, and then we're going to be whining about how we don't have any paving money, and then we're going to be in big trouble because we had a 10% increase last year, and we're going to be like, how are we going to pay for the paving? And borrowing $500,000 and paying for it out of the Pittsfield's future money. I don't like that idea either. So, because paving, now if we could pave all the roads in the whole town of Pittsfield for $1.5 million and those roads would last for 20 years, then I would say, yeah, let's take our $1.5 million our future money, go ahead and pave every road in the whole town of Pittsfield that we own, and and then we'll make payments to ourselves, and in 30 years we'll pave it again. But the way I see it, I'm going to recommend that we do some cutting on some budgets, and I want to see, a significant line item put in for paving. And I've got a few ideas. So you want to hear them?
Let me ask you a question. You're making suggestions to change the budget that
Yep.
we've gone through for the last 3 months?
You
to
better
work
believe
on?
it. Yep, that's what we're going to do. Yep.
Now, can I ask you a question before we get way off the tangent here? Why has this not been brought up in the last 3 months worth of meetings?
Well, at the end of the last meeting, Heather brought up something that just resonated with me, and that's that we didn't put paving in here. There's no paving in here, and that's the number one complaint that I hear from our residents.
If you recall from Steve's 5-year plan, there's
Yeah.
significant paving included in that. It's $500,000 per year starting next year.
Where is it?
Right.
Where is it in the point to it in the budget?
To next year.
Yeah. Catherine, is $500,000 in this budget for
It's listed in
paving?
the capital improvement plan if we use the Pittsfield's future money to make debt service payments for a loan.
Yep, but Yeah, so what I want to do is I want to make a line item on the budget that has a significant amount of money in it that goes to paving every single year. That's what I want to do. And I know this is a terrible time, oh my goodness, but hey, we gotta like, this is my proposal.
So let me interrupt one more time.
Yep.
You just said that you want to put in a certain amount that would be that way every year.
Yeah,
Steve has already done that.
Steve,
Your 5-year plan.
if we borrow.
We reviewed that several meetings ago.
I know, but he wants to borrow, the proposal that he came up with was to borrow $500,000 next year to do some paving, and then the next year we'd have to borrow another, what, Heather?
I don't think Steve said we need to borrow.
Oh, no,
He just said we need to
but
pay the
that's
road.
how
He
he
doesn't
would.
care how we pay
Oh,
the
yeah,
road.
Steve's good that way, but the only way we're gonna be able to do Steve's plan is to either take $500,000 from the Pittsfield Future money, or to go ahead and.
Well, if you want to continue on this discussion, you have to remember, I don't think anyone found the fact of taking $500,000 out of that fund palatable, including me, and I'm the one that brought up this past summer about considering to even start using that money. The consideration was several variations of financing, correct me if I'm wrong, Catherine, using it to obtain a low-interest loan. Use that money to pay off a loan. So we would have the work done, we'd pay off the loan, but over time, we'd have such a low interest on that, and it's not like that money's gone. We would have it for something else. However, we would have that cash in the kitty and pay a little bit each time.
I think
It's not gonna, we didn't intend on having a one-time lump sum taken out and throwing $500,000 into it for 1 year.
Well,
That was the discussion, Caleb.
But I don't think it's responsible to think that we're going to take $500,000, because I think what you're saying is that the idea would be to take $500,000 from that money and then pay it back to the money in a low interest situation, but it's going to take us so long to pay it back because we don't have any money in our budget to do paving. I mean, we got zip, other than borrowing, and I don't think it's responsible to always borrow to do paving. Now, I do agree there is I think it's a good idea to borrow money to do certain things. Like if you wanted to borrow money to put a new roof or to make something bigger or something that's going to last a long time. But roads are like, it's like a wear item. I mean, I don't think it's smart to borrow big chunks of money. And so my proposal, and we could still do something like what you're talking about, borrow some money, but at least if we have a couple $100,000 or a big chunk of money in our line item budget, we could pay it back. So that's what I want to do. So that's I guess.
Get it?
Huh?
Where are you going to get it?
Well,
What are you going to cut?
Well, I got a
And
couple
how are you
different
going to sell it
ideas.
to the town? We were talking about $231 per year on an average home. And that's based on a $140,000 change. You're talking about $500,000.
No, I'm talking about cutting some of the increases that we did not approve any increase. Tonight is the night that we will approve a increase. Everything we talked about prior to tonight was just.
Well, let me correct what you just said. We approved the budget to present to the town to discuss. For the last 3 or 4 months, every one of us on this council and the finance committee had spent hours and hours and hours of time to come up with this. We had those discussions.
Nothing.
This is the budget the council has agreed upon to send to the town for the town to vote on.
Tonight we approve a budget.
This is the budget we approved to send to the town. The town approves this budget. That's why we have a public hearing so they can get some feedback.
Yep, and I say that tonight is the night that we approve a budget. We can make changes to it tonight, was my understanding.
Caleb, what do you want to?
So I don't want any more increase, but I want to cut some things. The items that I'm proposing to cut, because there are, there are 2 big increases, and so you obviously look at like those, right? The police department is getting $250,000 more than they got last year.
Which document are you looking at? Are you looking at the 3-pager or are you looking at the single?
I'm looking at the single one.
Let's go look at the single
And I've spent some time this last, because it's just been really hitting hard with me. And I've spent some time going around and pretty much everybody that I've talked to, I don't know, I think I want to cut some out of that line item and put some money towards the roads out of that line item. One of the things, we're going to put it here. So I guess on this sheet that they passed, or that Catherine passed around, the amendment to the 2019 proposed budget number 2. On the second page, 1A, you get that's where a lot of the things are all listed out that were increases. So right now, our police chief is making right now. He's making about $60,000, and he wants to make $70,000. And we had decided as a town council that we wanted to give him basically bring him up to $70,000. And I just don't see where. I don't know if we decided it, or I don't see where we need to give him that. I think he's getting $70,000 from Catherine passed out a study that shows that $60,000, which is what he's getting paid right now, is just let me finish everything and then you can talk about it. So I say we leave him at $60,000. Take that $10,000 out. So there's $10,000, and I say we go down. So that's like the third light item. Everybody see that? And then we go down here. This is just my idea. We don't have to do it, but this is what I'm thinking. I think that as far as keeping the custodian, I think that's we really got to do that. I think because there's a lot of cosmetic issues that keep getting brought up around the town that I think we've got to do that. But obviously the public works, they really do need a truck driver because we're going to be doing more plowing and stuff. I can't see any way on that one.
I don't want to interrupt you, but can you just?
Okay, you want me to cut to the
if
one?
you want to do bullet items, give us prices where they are and show us where you got $500,000.
So here we go. We're going down this police administration assistant for $60,000. I would like to cut that for right now, so now we're up to $70,000. And I would like to review this stuff. But I just don't think for a town our size. Anyways,
just go through the punch list. Let's go through the list.
Okay.
We got a long ways to go here.
Yep. And then I would like to go down here. This other $60,000 here. We got a full-time police officer. I think we should cut that one too. So
which one are you talking about?
It's the second to the last line item. So that is $130,000 right there. So that is, I'd like to, just with those couple of items, we can add 130. We could have 130,000 in our paving budget right there every year that's being used for a paving. Plus, we can use the $30,000 that the $1.5 million creates every year. And so that'll give us $160,000 per year that we can use for paving. And when the people in the town come to us and complain about the tax increase, we can say that we put in the budget item to be used every year, there's $160,000 that's going to be used to pave the roads every year. That's a line item that we can either use to make payments on a loan, or we can, I think we need to address paving if we're going to have a 10% increase. So that's my sales pitch.
But the $160,000, your last comment was to use to pay against a loan, yet you started this conversation by not using money to pay against a loan.
So we don't have to use it. I'm not saying a loan, but my thought is that that we need to have money in the budget line item that is for paving. And that $160,000 can be used for paving. Like that's going to be what we're gonna have. And then I think that we should make a commitment that every other year we try to raise that by $50,000 until, or maybe it's every year we make a commitment to raise it by 50,000, or maybe it's, something so that number continues to grow, so that in 10 years, we're sitting here talking about we've got, or maybe it's 5 years or 6 years or whatever it is, we've got a significant number in there that can be used to pay. That's just my idea.
Okay.
And Heather was, it was her thing that sparked my mind anyways, because you brought up a good idea. I mean, we need it in there. And all these things for the police department, I do agree, they would be nice to have, but those things are, I just think we need to put money in there for it.
A couple comments I have, and I have to say this, Caleb.
Yeah.
Us as the council, have approved to present this for consideration as the budget 2019. This is a significant step, a significant change, and it should have been done months ago. We should have had this discussion months ago. This is really not the time to have this significant change, especially after we've had discussions with the chief on his raise. We've had discussions with Steve on his 5, 10-year, 15-year plan. We've had discussions on all this.
I'd like to add
That's
discussion.
my comment.
I'd like to add discussion. We do not have a crime problem in this town. We have a road problem in this town. I will not vote on a budget that does not have paving in it. I won't. That's why I'm here on the council board. I heard enough of it throughout the years. That's why I ran as a councilor in this town, to get the roads paved, to get the infrastructure of this town brought up to a higher standard. If you talk to anyone who drives through this town, it's like, it's got a lot of things, but it's a hell of a road to drive on to get there. We need to really, it sucks, like it's a lot of money, and it's gonna hurt, but it's an investment to make our town better in the future.
Just throw something in there.
Yeah, please.
And it's just food for thought, because we're talking food for thought here. $200,000, if you had a $2,000 bullet item in there every year for roads, and you use the $30,000 of the PERS money for interest, and you increase that by $20,000 every year, that's $250,000 a year in 4 years' time. In 4 years' time, you'd have, what? Close to $1 million, not quite. And you wouldn't be borrowing against it. Now, am I hearing that about right? Give or take a few figures?
What'd you say again?
I said, if you had, say, a bullet point of $200,000 in your budget every year for roads, and you took the $30,000 PERS money that they got for interest, and you put that on there, along with you increase it $20,000 a year, now you're talking $250,000 a year. If you did that faithfully for the next 6 years, you'd have close to $1 million worth of roads done. Now, you're still gonna have roads that need to be done, but you wouldn't be bailing water out of the public.
Yeah,
I'm just, see if I understand this correctly.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Ron?
I'm going to respectfully disagree with Councilor Bolster. I think we do have a crime problem in this town. I think that since I've come to this town, people have died from overdoses. I think there have been robberies. I think there's been vandalism. And is it as bad as inner city Detroit? Probably not. In fact, I know it's not. But there is a crime problem in this town. I am really, really disheartened that something as essential as police services is being proposed to be not funded as it needs to be, because it does need to be funded more. We do need more police. The police department does need an administrative assistant. Every time I come in, or not every time, a significant amount of the time when I come into the town office, and I come here pretty often, there's nobody at the window, and there's nobody in the office. And that's a problem, right? We need administrative assistants. We need additional police officers. I don't know how many times I have heard from various people in the town offices, in government, around town, that we're hiring people to come in part-time because we don't have enough coverage, right? We have to constantly ask the state police or the county police to come in because we don't have enough people to staff parades or sports events or something like that. And that's a problem. I recognize that an increase is an increase and nobody likes an increase. And I also recognize that the roads need to be done. And I'm not saying don't try and find a way to do it, but I, as a citizen, am very strongly urging that it not come from the proposed increases to the police department.
I mean, we're still giving the police department an increase. They're still getting, you know, 100. And, I mean, they're asking for $250,000 more than they got last year, and we're only.
It's 198,000.
It's 198,000, but I think if you add their operating budget increase, it's 254,000. Or what is it here?
It's $254,471 because the original revisions to all the accounts, which includes personnel, health insurance, and then operating budget items in the blue book, was $55,813. And then from all the budget workshops and other discussions, $198,658 was added, which then comes to a total revised budget of $733,257, which is the increase of $254,471, or a 53.15% increase.
Okay. Caleb, 1 second, Don. If you could summarize in a motion, if you wish to make a motion, 1 or 2 sentences, summarize it. Donnie has a comment he wants to make, and we'll get back to you.
I'll do some.
Go ahead, Donnie.
As a taxpayer, not as an employee of this town, I think it's irresponsible for you guys to sit here, because the 5-year plan, from what I've seen, the roads, it's a good idea. We need the roads done. But you're gonna borrow $500,000 this year, great. It's gonna lead to an increase. I think next year, the plan is to borrow $500,000. So where's the increase going to go? In my pocket again. And then 3 years down the road, you want to borrow another $500,000. And that's got to come from taxes, people. This is not the federal government. You can't borrow yourself out of debt. That's the problem. And if we all have to be responsible, department heads or whatever, the crises and get us through the crises, and we'll have to figure it out. But I think what was being said is having an operating amount that we know that money's there. If we borrow $500,000 and we can put even $150,000 away, that's $650,000 next year. If we can add 50 to it, then next year we got a couple $100,000. Within 5 or 6 years, we've spent $1.5 million on the road without having to take out 2 more bonds. I'm just worried about borrowing. I'm not a big proponent of borrowing. We've had this discussion. I'm seeing it going around local communities that are broke. We're not broke. We have money in the bank, which is a good thing. At some point, you cannot borrow yourself out of debt. And I think we all have to look at making cuts somewhere. And I'm not saying that Caleb is right. I'm just saying that somewhere in there we got to figure it out. And it's too bad. Like we said, we've gone through a month process here, and I think that I'm willing to pay that tax increase. But again, I think let's figure out where we're going to do this stuff. But we can't do this every year. We can't do a 1.5 or $2 million increase, because I'll tell you, I'm moving out of town. I'll sell my house. I probably won't be able to sell it, but I'm going to get out of town. I've been part of this community forever, and I love this community. But fiscal responsibility. I do it every year with my operating budget. And it's a tough thing that we have to do. All of us have to do it. We have to tighten our belts. I don't live beyond my means. And I just don't want people to think that it's my money, or it's everybody's money in this room. It's a taxpayer. It's their money. It's an easy thing, because it's not. And it really upsets me when I see it. The federal government's doing it. State government's doing it. I'm not going to allow it on a local level. If I have something to say about it. And it's too bad, because we've gone through this process, Mr. Mayor. I think that we've done that over the last couple months I've been here. And I think that we were willing to do a little bit, but we got to do something. I don't get a $250,000 increase in my budget. I haven't got a $100,000 increase in my budget. I've tightened my belt. My expenses have doubled. We're taking our trash. Steve's budget's increased 3 years in a row. I understand his increase because he's got roads, he's behind, he's got infrastructure, he's got to do culverts. We're all tightening our belts, but And I'd like to have all this stuff. I'd like to have the chief have the best of everything that he can have. I don't want the fire department, I'm on the fire department, to have the best of everything that they can have. But at what cost? We're barring against my kid's future. I'm not gonna allow it to happen. It just upsets me. And I understand increases. We haven't had a substantial increase, and I knew it was coming, and it was gonna hurt.
15 years.
Yeah, it's gonna
Over
hurt.
15 years.
And when we say we got an increase, and I think that Caleb was under the understanding that there has been a little bit of an increase over the years,
There has
but it's
been.
always gone to the county or the schools. We haven't had a municipal increase for our services over the years. And at some point, just like they have in other communities, we need to take a look at the school budget. And it's these 10, 12, 15% increases every year. We really need to take a look, and they need to tighten up a little bit as well, Mr. Mayor.
No, I understand that. You know, let me add a little comment on that. The last 2 budget meetings I've been to, and there were, let's say, at least 50 people. 1, maybe 2 people were not related to a teacher, married to a teacher, or involved with the school system. I was one of them.
Right.
That's where it starts, and it was a sad statement. Because I was the only one who mentioned that $360,000 that they got as a freebie. Because no one was there as a taxpayer to vote it down.
And I think that's, again, where we need to be responsible as taxpayers to make sure that we're available during the school budget as well. I agree.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Caleb, you got a summary?
I do. I propose, what's the word?
You want to make a motion for an amendment?
Yeah, I make a motion for an amendment that we decrease the police department's request for $254,000. We decrease it from $254,471 to $124,471, which amounts to instead of giving the police chief raising his pay to $70,000, raise it to $60,000, and remove the 2 line items, one for the full-time police administrative assistant and the full-time police officer, and take that $130,000 and add a new line item for roads, and add and create. Yeah, does that make sense? So the police department still gets a 25% increase, which is pretty much in line with what everybody else got, but just not a 53% increase.
Okay, hold on. Comment?
Yeah, I'd like to just make a comment that my current pay is $52,000, not $60,000.
Mm-hmm.
I work 55 or 60 hours a week, as I outlined in the last few budget meetings. I'm probably one of the lowest paid chiefs in the state. That's as far as my pay. I had originally asked for a $75,000 pay. Councilor Bolster asked me if I would take 70. I said yes, under 2 conditions. One was I said that you revisit my pay again next year, and you all agreed that we're here. And the second thing I said was you take the other $5,000 and put it towards my reserve officers who have been underpaid.
Yep.
Now, as far as my full-time officers, they're under a contract and you can't do anything about that for another year. Second issue, I don't know which officer you're talking about cutting, but we have 2 positions in there. And the third issue is we are in desperate need of an administrative assistant. And I would be happy at any time to sit down and talk to you. I wish it had been before tonight's meeting so I could explain everything to you so you would understand, or at least have a better, more information so you could make a, I believe, more informed decision than just trying to whack us down. These increases were very, I put a lot of thought into them, got a lot of input, and we are in need of these positions for the town, and the pay increase. And my pay going up to $70,000 doesn't even bring me up to where it should be when you compare it to the other chiefs in this area. And the facts that were presented from the MMA on salaries were inaccurate. So I throw that out to the committee before you make your vote.
All right, thank you, Chief. Okay, there's a motion for amendment on the floor.
I guess the, excuse me?
Did you finish your motion?
Yes, I did. I just had okay, I'll let that go. I just had a question for you, but we'll let my amendment
Yeah,
go.
let's continue on. There's a motion on the floor. Let's follow the procedure here.
Did you
I
second it?
second Caleb's motion so we can talk about it.
Okay.
Okay,
And then we
moved
have
and
to vote to
seconded.
accept the amendment.
Any discussions, further discussions, councils, on the motion for the amendment?
I'd like to just motion to open discussion on the amendment, I guess.
That's what I'm asking for.
Okay, so discussion now.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Make sure we had our things squared away. So Caleb, we sat on the finance committee and we talked through a lot of these issues one-on-one with the chief, Bob, Howie, myself, the chief. Catherine was there, and also Bernie sat at the finance committee meeting, and we went round and round about the different positions, why they were needed, and this that we came out with is a compromise from what was asked for, and we thought it was a pretty good compromise. The police chief's pay is on the lower end. It also doesn't even begin, I did some math and I don't have my notes with me, but he's also been covering shifts. He's not just covering police chief duties, he's also doing shift work. And so he's doing he's covering the office during the week and then also doing shifts every weekend practically. So if you added the time, I sat down and I added the time, the shift hour work that we would have been paying another officer to do. And I want to say it came out like we should be paying him like $100-something thousand because he's basically covering an entire shift position throughout the year, the number of shifts that he's taken during a week. So he's actually working 2 jobs for the police department at the moment. And so the $10,658 is what we came up with the understanding we would look at his salary again next year. The other positions on there, the police administrative assistant, there is a lot more happening within the town, especially on the heroin and the opioid front. The chief is trying to do detective work because we don't have a detective position, as well as all the administrative work within the office, typing reports and things like that. And so we felt that it was much more cost effective to have an administrative assistant be in the office, to also actually have somebody there to greet people. You know, when you go up and you go to your public safety office and there's nobody there, what message does that send to the community? You know, if you have an issue and you want to go talk to someone, everyone's out on patrol because there's nobody left in the station. I think it's important to have somebody there to support the police department. The school resource officer is not the one that you mentioned, I believe, because it's majorly funded by the school as well.
Oh yeah, I wasn't saying
Okay.
that yet.
And then the captain and deputy chief position is something that we talked about. So you can work on our police department for many, many years, and we have some officers that have. And that's another reason why we thought that we needed to add positions, because many of the police officers we have 30 years in and they can retire within the next couple of years, and we have nobody coming up the ranks to replace them. And so that would give somebody an opportunity to have more training and have more responsibility within the chain of command. There's $3,000 in there for a police explorer and cadet program, and that I think is it's not a lot of money, but I think it's important to have that in there. The chief has really done a great job kind of doing an overhaul of the department, looking at where it is now and where it should be and how we're going to get there. And one of those things is training young people to understand what police work is and get people interested in becoming police officers, because there's articles practically every week on the nationwide front and even within the state about how difficult it is to find police officers right now. Oh, and so having programs like that and being able to find reserve officers is going to become very difficult. So having a program like that may help with that. And it also creates a way for the police department to interact with the general public in a different way than, you know, the blue lights following you. The full-time police officer, the bottom line that you had mentioned cutting, If you notice there's a note that says cover ACO duties, also have an ACO on call. And what that is we currently pay, oh gosh, what was it, $10,000 something a year for.
It's in the budget for enhanced ACO, but we actually pay less right now.
So we have an ACO that we contract with now, and they just on-call basis, and it's, let me look up the number just to make sure that I'm not throwing out a funny number.
Chief, ACO for the record,
You
what
know
is
right
that?
off the bat?
Animal control officer.
Thank you.
Right, yes, sorry. So it was like $8,000 is
Yes.
what the ACO services are for the officer, not for the contract for the Humane Society to take animals and handle that end of things. So we thought that if we needed to provide more coverage for the police department, so there were officers available to cover the shifts that needed to be covered. If we could have a position that was also had dedicated ACO duties when they're on staff, then that would mitigate the increase in cost in that position. So we're going to be saving $8,000 by not employing an ACO officer, but we're increasing the total budget. We're gaining a full-time certified police officer by doing that. So it was a way that we could try and mitigate the additional cost, but kind of serve two purposes at the same time with that one position. So that's why those increases are in there. That's why I think that they're important. I don't disagree with you. I would much rather see a line item every year for paving, because there used to be one, rather than taking out a loan or even using a large chunk of the Pittsfield Futures money for that. But I think it's interesting that in nowhere, were those the only changes that you had, that you wanted to make in the overall budget, or?
That's what I proposed, just because that particular, and honestly it was because that budget was asking for a 50% increase.
Right.
And the other budget that had a big increase was the Public Works.
Yep.
But that one is going to be, that's a lot harder to cut because they need the position for the plowing guy because we're taking over plowing contracts. So,
Right.
I mean, like, we can't, if we decide to cut that position, then we can't take over plowing contracts.
Exactly.
So that
So
was, and then the custodian, I explained quickly that I thought that would help with a lot of the cosmetic issues that we get complaints about around the town about painting and cleaning windows. And
So the motion
And
for
I agree.
amendment counts those three lines.
Right.
That's what we're discussing.
Right. And I agree with the need for the custodian as well, because we're seeing cost savings on that position as well, because we're not going to be having a contract for custodial services in the buildings anymore. That's going to be filled within that position.
So I just looked at it, Heather, and sitting here, I agree with you. I believe that the police need like all those things. I just think a 50% increase in 1 year and ignoring the roads is not the right way to go. But I know that we need to have a substantial increase, so it was my idea to take that increase and bump it down to about 25%, take that money and put it in our line items for the roads, so, and then make that, and try to have some plan going forward to make that road one increase, you know.
Okay. I don't disagree with you. I think it's a good idea, and I think that it's something we should have been doing all along, is to have a line item in the capital budget that's funded every year through taxation for the roads. But at the same time, I have issue with the fact that there's no mention of cutting the theater at all. And that's $90,000 that we lose every year. And it's not an essential service like the roads or the police or the fire department. And so if you really want to bump that up, I would say close the theater and you have $90,000 in your pocket to pay roads with. And I hate to be the person to say that. I really do.
Yeah.
But I'm not the only one that said it. I'm not the first one that's said it. And I might catch hell for saying it again, because the last person that was on the council that pointed this out to everyone was not treated very well because of it. And so that's my little add to the pot there. You know, I think that there's other ways to find the funds than cutting public safety type positions.
If I may interject a comment on my own here also, if you're going to do that, the theater was closed down, the pool and the library.
I would be with the pool, but not the
For the
library.
exact same reason.
I would be with you on the pool, but not the library. I don't see the pool
See-
as an
see, you-
essential
you-
thing.
you
I
all-
see the library as an essential service to the town.
You open that discussion to debate. If you
Yeah.
want to talk about money only, you're judging the theater on money only.
Well,
The
Caleb's just saying,
theater
he's
and the
looking
pool
for dollars.
and the
so there's
parks, those are
dollars.
all things that cost money that, as Donnie so well put, we subsidize for other towns. Not only Pittsfield people use that pool, not
Oh,
only
yeah.
Pittsfield people use the parks,
Yeah.
not only Pittsfield people use the library. So all I'm saying, I'm exaggerating to make a point, but that's a slippery slope to start down. That's all I'm saying.
Well, if we're here, this is what this is all we're talking about tonight, is dollars and cents. This is what we have to do tonight.
Right.
And so a dollar spent is a dollar spent. And where are our dollars most needed? It's on public services that impact safety and health and education. That's the three things that I think we need to focus on.
Yep.
Public safety is not just the roads, it's making sure our buildings are not going to be leaking roofs and falling apart.
Donnie, quick comment, please.
I think that, again, you guys, the point is moot here. You guys are gonna battle back and forth. You gotta have some sort of compromise. Pretty simple thing, cutting, like we said, it's tough. Administrative assistant, I'm a department head, I don't get an administrative assistant. I do all my own work. So if I'm doing it at 9 o'clock at night doing my emails, I don't feel like I'm getting compensated. Now, the chief as the department head, if he's doing extra duty or whatever, then you're cutting a $60,000 position for an administrative assistant. If he can do that work, then he deserves the raise. You see what I mean? If he's going to do that work, but you can't have him be a patrol officer, so you got to work on your reserves. That's one of the things that we've talked about in the past, not getting reserve to cover those shifts. So then there's another thing, theater, same way. Can you eliminate some of that budget? You probably could. Close 2 days a week, the 2 most non-profitable days of the week. That's something where you can start. We're not saying, I don't want to see everybody.
Hey, Donnie, I'm going to interrupt here. We need to focus on what the amendment, what the motion is. It has nothing to do with the theater. That's another discussion, if it's will, but we need to keep our focus on the amendment. Ron.
In the interest of brevity, I'm only going to throw out that several months ago I stood in front of the council and spoke about the opioid issue. And one of the comments that was made was we don't want to see people slipping through the cracks, and we want to make sure that what we're doing is effective. And this is how people slip through the cracks.
Okay.
That's my
All right.
contribution.
Council, yes, Chief.
The only other thing I'd mention to echo with Council Donahue, on the position of the administrative assistant, just so it's clear, I had proposed that the position also serve the fire department, the public works director if needed, and also Don in his position as safety officer in any capacity that the position could assist.
Thank you. Council, anything else?
Yeah, I got some.
Yes, Don.
You know, I understand the debate and focusing on wanting to cut the line items that you've spoken about, Caleb. Having been a physician here for 30 years, and Ron being in the health field also as a chiropractor, I can tell you for damn sure that there's a safety issue and a health problem that I think the chief has made strides to improve the situation, and I've sat down with him and spoke to him about the plans that he has, and I've spoken to Mike Cray and what he's doing in the schools, and I think that from my perspective, this was debated in the Finance Committee, and we went around and around with it. And I think that this is an appropriate use of funds from the point of view of budgetary constraint. The roads didn't go to crap overnight. They didn't go to crap in 2018. And having lived here for 30 years, and there's been a mantra that basically says, we haven't increased the taxes, we haven't increased the taxes. The council wants the taxes not to be increased, and the town manager has gone along with that. Well, from my perspective, I think there should have been some oversight and said that, you know, there's going to come a time when you're going to have to pay. And no plans were made for this moment. And unfortunately, the rubber hits the road right now. And the roads are in shitty shape. And I'm sorry that I'm using that language, but they are. And I think that mismanagement over 10 or 15 years has led to us coming to this point now. And there's been no foresight, and I joined the council particularly for that reason. So I think that I agree, Caleb, there needs to be improvement in the roads. And if we need to do it right now by borrowing and by increasing the taxes somewhat, I think that we need to do it, because we've been put in that position, and unfortunately, or fortunately, we're the ones to take responsibility for it. And if we don't do it now and make some changes to improve the town and make it more livable, both from a safety perspective, both on the roads, healthcare, and I think the theater is a wonderful, gem to the city, to the town. And again, it may or may not be priorities, but I certainly think that these moves are appropriate at this point.
All right, thank you, Doc. Anything else, Council?
If this is passed, we've got to make certain that we have money in the budget next year for roads. We have to come up with, we have to have that, because you're not going to have a major tax increase. I know I'm getting screamed at because people don't want a tax increase, and I know you got to have some. I said, look, folks, the place is going to fall down if you don't do certain things. I said, but the thing of it is, you're not going to get a tax increase this year and get one next year. I guarantee you, we've been very fortunate that we haven't gotten more phone calls than we have. I'm going to be honest with you. You're not going to get another one next year. If you get one this year and a water increase, there's no way. It just won't. It won't. There'll be World War III out there, for lack of a better term. So, and I hear about the roads all the time. The roads are terrible shape. We haven't put any money in it. Why aren't we fixing the roads? We're more worried about this, and this. And that's what I hear. So, if we cut anything, I think it behooves this council to make absolutely, if we don't touch that PERS money, then we better be putting the interest towards the roads next year. That's all I got to say.
All right, thank you, Tim. Anything else, Council?
It is my understanding, and I thought we were going to have something maybe, but I know Catherine's had a million things to look at. It's my understanding that the town budget, just the town portion of the budget for like taxes, has had 3 to 5% increases. Because it's been brought up a couple of times that it's been held pretty much.
It's based on county and SAD 53.
Yeah, no. I mean, aside from county and SAD 53, the town budget has. Is it true that it's been? Because when I was on town council, like every year we had a 3 to 5% increase. I mean that was like our normal thing. Like we had never held it zero. I didn't think so.
One thing to clarify, Doc mentioned is the county was an impact when that new jail came in.
Yeah, no.
I saw that. But the other thing is to use an old saying, you got to pay to play.
Yeah, well, believe me, I know.
But for 15 years we haven't paid, and now it's time to fess up. Those budgets never had an increase for this, an increase, a steady amount every year to maintain, at least catch up. So unfortunately, as has been said already, we're paying the penance for 15, 20 years of not doing the proper thing. If we've had all this money 20 years ago, the little minute increases, it would have been no blip on the radar. Our lives would have been adjusted. We would have been able to handle it. We're trying to play catch up with something that needs to be caught up. So that 3 to 5%, there's a heavy impact from outside sources, but there really wasn't a significant increase for improvements.
but I'm saying a 3 to 5% increase, not including like the school system and the thing. And so, and my other, and maybe, yeah, I mean, maybe the other way that I should propose this that would maybe be better is to not propose that we, I mean, I just think a 50% increase, I don't think that's justified. You know, I mean, I just, you know, I don't know, that is a huge increase, and maybe we don't tell him how to spend the money, and we give him a 25% increase instead, and put the rest, like I said, towards the roads, and then he can decide how to spend that 25%. You know, whether it's in a new position. Well, obviously the SRO is going to be funded, but you know, because there's still. I mean, I'm not talking about not giving the police any increase. I'm just talking about giving him 25% instead of 53, or you know, or half of what they're requesting, so that in this budget we can have a line item for roads. So when, you know, so that we're being responsible. I think it's a responsible thing. But so.
All right, Caleb.
But Catherine, did you have anything to say about the?
Yes, we did put together a book of the budgets since 2000, and we have had increases, but the increases are not a steady increase. The increase could be as low as $10,000, going up to $112,000. And then as the years went by, the increases did get steady because we just did not have the revenue sources. For example, if we wanted to just go through these, the major...
We don't need to go through all those details.
So the increases started out low in the early years, in the early 2000s, but the increases are now steady, and that's why our tax rate, you know, is going up and getting into the high level. Last year's increase was $289,000. The year before was $230,000. The year before, $70,000. You know, and you can go all the way back. So there have been steady increases, but not
very big. Yep.
Not an actual same number.
So it's smaller than what I was thinking. So
Right.
289,000 is not
the
3%.
The point being, without nitpicking on the dollars and
Yeah.
figures, the point being, it hasn't been a steady thing to keep up with.
Been smaller,
With
yep.
wear and tear and cost.
Catherine.
Anything else, Council?
Just have one question for
Yes,
Catherine
Bob.
again. Will this affect our bond rating at all?
Well,
This increase?
Tax increase?
No, as long as we can make any debt service payments, that's the major item. And making sure that we have the proper unappropriated surplus, which at this point we're okay, but it is starting to slide.
All right. Anything else, Council? Very well, hearing none, I since we're ready to vote, all those in favor of the proposed amendment of changing the budget line item 254,471 down to 124,470, decrease of 130,000, and add a line item for paving. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Mr. Mayor, is the line item for paving 130,000?
130,000. That's what I just mentioned.
Okay.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nay.
All those against, nay. Nay. We will poll the council. We'll start with Matt.
Aye.
Nay, sorry.
Heather.
Nay.
Doc.
Nay.
Tim.
Aye.
Caleb.
Aye.
Bob.
Aye.
And I will vote nay. What's your total, Michael?
1, 2, 3 nay to 1, 2, I missed one. To 4 aye.
Okay.
4 aye, 3 nay.
4 ayes, 3 nays. The amendment, proposed amendment passes. So, here's the amendment to ordinance 18-5. The cost will be decreased from the police budget from 254,000 right here, 254,471 down to 124,000 $471, decrease of $130,000, with a line item added for the highway department, $130,000. The motion 18-5, I'm sorry, ordinance 18-5, that is still for, which now the changes that was voted on by the, that is still, we get a comment before we move along.
What pay gonna be now?
Good question.
We're 60, 70, 80 hours a week.
You want me to answer?
Do we have a real number for that?
Yeah. It'd be, Catherine, will you say the real number so that?
All right, so what was in the budget?
I think it's close to 60,000.
Which was done the same
better
as
look for a
all
new
the other
police chief then.
departments was.
Hold
Well,
on.
that's
Hold-
okay.
Hold, please, hold on with the comments, please. Catherine.
All right, was $59,342.40.
Say that again,
Okay.
Catherine.
What was
Yes,
that?
59,000.
So that was the original, that's what was originally, my pay now is 52,000, so I'm going up to 59,000, and I'll be one of the lowest paid still in the state. For working those hours, and working investigations, and working drug cases, and things that the council is talking about, he's not well informed.
Maybe I'm way out of line here, and I know I probably am, but I'm very disappointed. Very disappointed. We had this discussion, we've gone through a 3 or 4 month process. People depended on us, we gave our, best effort at this, and I have no more words. So we have a motion outstanding for ordinance 18-5 with the amendment already approved by vote. All those in favor of ordinance 18-5 as amended, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those against, nay.
Nay.
We shall poll the councilors. Matt?
Aye.
Heather?
Nay.
Doc?
Nay.
Tim?
Aye.
Caleb?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
I vote nay. 3-4 by a vote of 4-3, the ordinance 18-5 passes as amended. Michael, ordinance 18-6, please.
Ordinance 18-6, the town of Pittsfield hereby ordains that the 2019 water and sewer enterprise fund budgets in the respective amounts of $430,732 and $501,350 be appropriated from the respective estimated departmental revenues.
I'll look for a motion from the council, please.
Move we adopt ordinance 18-6.
Second.
Move to second. Any questions or comments from anyone in the audience, please? Thank you. Council? Questions or comments? Hearing none, I sense we're ready to vote. All those in favor of ordinance 18-6, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those against, nay. Ayes have it. Ordinance 18-6 passes. Michael, please.
Ordinance 18-7. The town of Pittsfield hereby ordains that the 2019 Water and Sewer Enterprise Fund capital budget in the amount of $646,500 be approved, and further, that $9,500 be appropriated from water sewer budgets, that $301,000 be appropriated from water sewer enterprise additional revenues, that $46,000 be appropriated from water sewer enterprise loan, that $290,000 be appropriated from water sewer standpipe reserve.
I'll look for a motion from the council, please.
Move we adopt ordinance 18-7.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions and comments from anyone in the audience? Thank you. Council, questions and comments? Very well. Hearing none, a sense where the vote. All those in favor of ordinance 18-7, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those against, nay. Ayes have it. Ordinance 18-7 passes. Last one, please, Michael.
Ordinance 18-8, an ordinance to authorize the transfer of unencumbered appropriation balances to various departments. From Economic and Community Development, $29,000. Buildings and Grounds, $6,000. Transfer Station, $27,000. Recreation, $8,000. 2. Police, $19,000. Streetlights, $2,000. Public Works, $45,000. Cemetery, $4,000.
I'll look for a motion of the council with the revised amounts provided, please.
Move we adopt ordinance 18-8 with the revised amounts.
For the record, could you read those two amounts? Line, you want me to read it?
Please
Tim? Okay.
I'm under the weather here.
That's all right. Under the two column, the line item 05-10 police is changed from 19,000 to 16,000. And the line item 20-05 airport is changed from added. There's a line item added 20-05 airport in the amount of 3,000. Okay, moving to second. Any questions or comments from anyone in the audience? Very well, council. Questions or comments?
I have a comment question. Why is it that, is this just like money that they had to spend in the budget that they didn't foresee coming, like overtime or things like that? Is that what we're trying to cover?
Kathy, please.
Yes, our budgets have been very tight over the years, but they've been discussed. So we have a unique section in the charter which allows for transfers. And with the ability to have the transfers, if there are tight budgets or issues that come up, we can transfer between those accounts that have money to those accounts that do not have money. So the bottom line has never changed on the budget all these years. However, there are accounts that have monies in them because certain items didn't take place, and then the accounts that usually do have issues are those that are the most labor intensive.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else, council?
Catherine, the airport, is that because of extra snow plowing because of all these early storms?
Yes, that is correct.
And you had mentioned at the beginning of the meeting there was $21,000 to carry over.
That will be another separate item under the carry.
Is that
forward.
under here?
Yes, it'll be further along. Yes, that will go to the budget to reduce the amount of taxes. After 6 reviews of the budget and all the funds, that was the extent of what I could come up with.
Is that under new business?
It's under a new item,
Okay.
yes.
Anything else, council? Very well, hearing none, a sense we're ready to vote. All those in favor of the revised ordinance 18-8, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Ordinance 18-8 is approved as revised. Move on to number 5, reports. Council committees. We start with Finance Committee.
No report this evening.
Thank you. Ordinance Committee.
No report this evening.
Thank you. Recycling Committee.
No report this evening.
Thank you. B, Board and Committee updates by Town Council Manager. Heather, you have anything with the communications that you'd like to share?
Yes, we are going to meet in early January, hopefully before the next, well, I guess it would be late December. Before the next meeting. The next project we'd like to take on is looking at the town website, its functionality, the information that's on there, how easy it is to find information on there, and what is on there and how much of it actually needs to be on there. So I don't know if we need the blessing of the council in order to start looking at that as a committee meeting direction from the council.
I don't believe so.
No?
If there's action to be taken
Run
on it,
with it.
then the council would have
Okay.
the input.
Well, that's next on the agenda, I guess, is to look at that.
I've heard some very positive feedback on these cameras here.
Good. Yeah, I looked at the video online from 1 or 2 meetings ago, and it's actually really improved from that first meeting.
Oh,
So it looks a lot better.
Actually, the last meeting we had, when we worked late, I
Yep.
got home, I had an email from Mike Gray
Yep.
with comments about the meeting.
Yeah, the only thing that question I had about is it cut off at the end of our budget workshop. It didn't carry through. So is there a way we can stop it when we're done with the meeting instead of having a predetermined end time? Do you know, Mike? Or?
It's a combination of both. Like tonight, I set the meeting to go till 11:30.
Oh, really?
Well,
Okay.
you never know. So it will record till 11:30, but if we don't go to 11:30, it'll stop recording when I turn the camera off.
But can you extend it? Like if you only set it to 9:30 and
Yeah.
we needed to go longer, then is there a way to manually extend it? Just because I think that a lot of what we discussed in the workshop was missed. Like towards the end, a lot of the items that we were talking about was missed. So if somebody was watching or went back later and watched it, then it wouldn't have been.
Yeah, I
the
think since
information
it was
was
cut
there.
off, the answer is probably no. So I think what we need to do is just make sure they go
Program
to
everything
midnight or
wrong.
whatever.
Everything till midnight.
Just set them late and shut it
Yeah,
off.
set 'em
and wait for
late,
you.
yeah.
And I would suggest that we start, like when we have finance committee meetings and things like that have to do around the budget. It might have been before we actually turned it on, I can't remember, but that we also have those covered so that people have an idea of what's talked about during the finance committee, the ordinance committee, and all those committee items.
We have talked to the different committees and indicated that the standing committees are now on for the videoing, streamlining, but we can have as many committees as we want.
Okay.
So all ad hoc committees, all of the regular committees, like the theater committee, will all be televised from now on.
Awesome, great,
January 1st on.
awesome. And then also, my understanding is the office can accept credit card payments now, starting the second of the year.
There's a resolution
well?
for that.
Further down.
Okay, so that's on tonight too. Good. Okay.
You're excited about items further down on the agenda?
I am. I just, yeah.
So that'll say you'll be back, right?
Yeah.
Anything else, Heather?
Nope.
All right, thanks. Doc, anything you want to share with the bicentennial committee?
The only thing with the bicentennial committee, we had a meeting last week. It was fairly thorough and extensive. The next meeting is January 9th, which is a Wednesday, at 6 p.m. and it's at MCI, I think, right?
Yes.
Yeah, there'll be. It's going to be. I forget exactly where.
It's in the cafeteria for the boardroom.
Points.
Okay. The plans for the boat launch, as mentioned last time, are complete, and I believe that they'll be presented at the next meeting for council approval.
It is scheduled.
Yep. And the time capsule, if anybody's interested, is at the library to view, and we're trying to gather information on guesses what is in it and what to put in the next one. So
Probably 45 of the monkeys.
that's it.
Too bad we didn't know anyone in healthcare that could have an X-ray machine.
It probably was really large.
Anything else, Doc?
That's it.
Congratulations, by the way, on your kickoff the other night with the tree lighting. It's exciting. That was a big milestone. You guys worked very hard for that, and everyone has, so congratulations.
I'd like to thank the fire company for giving us a fire truck at the last minute, because one of the reindeer got sick.
All right, thank you very much. All right, Catherine, if we can do a
It will be very
quick
quick.
version, please. Thank you.
First item, tax acquired property. Liens for 2016 will be maturing later this week. Most people have paid them off. There appears to be a few that the town may end up with. Normally, we end up with 0 to 1 each year. One year we had 3, the bad year back in 2009, 10. This time it looks like there's a few more. One property is indicated, the owners have left the state. The property is indicated to have an astronomical number of rats on it. And so the town does have the ability to file the waiver of the tax lien process, and we can fill that out and take it down to the registry so that we do not end up with this property. I am waiting for a report from the code enforcement officer. So this is something that we legally can do because we're not budgeted to take care of these type of items, and then we can pursue the people that own the property through the court system if we have to do that, or declare an emergency and clean it up, put a lien on, or do some other thing besides end up with the property. So we will review those new properties that have showed up to be issues and resolve that as soon as possible and advise. Next item and last item is Happy Holidays. The municipal offices, public library, and transfer station will be closed on Monday, December 24th and Tuesday, December 25th in observation of the holidays. We will have a skeleton crew next week as many people will be enjoying time off. Thank you. The quickest one ever.
All right, thank you very much, Catherine.
I'm sorry, Mike, what's the schedule around New Year's going to be like?
We will close on the regular day on New Year's Eve and have a massive plan of action to get out early New Year's Eve.
And what is early?
By 6 o'clock, which is very good. And some people will get out by 5:15, based upon the work that we've done. Each individual in the office has figured out ways to speed up the end of the year process. And so we have spreadsheets going, cross-training on a couple of items. And so I put Michael in charge of that after I spoke with all of the staff members. Because if each person is done, then we move along very quickly. And my list is done too.
And that gets you out by 6 o'clock as well?
Yes.
And the deputy?
Yeah, yeah. That's our goal. We'll try this. If it doesn't work, we'll try something different next year. But this has been efficiency city here, lining everything up like an assembly line.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much. Move on to number 6, new business. Michael, if you would, please.
Resolution 18-118, resolved that the town council increase the percentage of funds in the cemetery general fund from 2% to 6.7% to be transferred to the 2019 budget as a revenue source for the cemetery, thereby increasing the amount of revenues to the amount equal to the proposed 2019 cemetery budget.
Now look for a motion from the council, please.
Move we adopt resolution 18-118.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions or comments from the audience? Thank you. Anything from the councilors? Very well. Hearing none, since we're ready to vote, all those in favor of resolution 18-118, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Resolution 18-118 passes. Michael, please.
Resolution 18-119, resolved that the town council authorize a total of a dollar figure for carry forwards from the 2018 budget and encumber the funds for 2019.
What is the number for that, Catherine?
That is resolution 18-119.
Make a motion to adopt resolution 18-119 with a dollar figure of $21,000 as a designated revenue source for the 2019 budget and reallocation fund 4, account R01-10-40.
Thank you, Bob. There's a motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions or comments from anyone in the audience? Thank you. Council? Questions or comments?
Still trying to find it here. Is it?
Yes, it's in the 3 that are stapled together for updates. I want the paper.
Yeah, the one with ordinance 18-8 on the front.
So basically what will take place is from going through the budget and all the funds a few times, there is only one account where there are some monies because projects didn't start up till later in the year. So this $21,000 is part of the amendment in the original budget items that you had for 2019, in which the monies will be moved from 2018 as their savings and go to the 2019 budget as a revenue source to help reduce the amount of taxes to be raised.
Can we, if we carry this forward, can we designate what it's used for?
Well, it will go into the revenue budget. So it's a revenue source to reduce taxes. So it will go into reallocations, Fund 4 account 11040, so it'll be Fund 1, basically economic development. But it's basically a reallocation. It will lower taxes. So we can't spend it on anything, we're putting it in the revenues.
So, are we required to put it into the revenues?
No, but we've already voted on it being, it's used as a revenue source to help reduce the amount of taxes because it was so high.
When did we vote on that?
It was part of the amendment in the ordinance 18-5.
So, the ordinance.
So what will happen is that is a revenue source that will help reduce the large amount of tax increase that is taking place. It was
Oh, I see, it's
the
continuing on
largest
this.
amount I could come up with.
Where's the?
Anything else, Council?
Give me a second, I'm still trying to
Okay.
find it in here. So this total from revenue here? Okay.
So it's pulled from the expenditures in 2018 expenditure budget and will go to the revenues in 2019.
But we can't designate what we want to use it for.
Correct, because it's just a revenue source that lowers the amount of the overall taxes to be raised. So it goes in and increases the estimated revenues, which when you do your formula, then lowers your property taxes.
So this is already included in the budget that we voted on
Yes.
earlier, but we haven't actually approved it before the budget then.
It's just the way the budget's set up. It's a resolution, so it would have to be approved afterwards.
Okay. I guess I was thinking it was something separate and not included in the budget yet.
Anything else? Everybody good?
I guess so.
Council, anything else? Very well, hearing none, since we're ready to vote, all those in favor of resolution 18-119 with a total of 21,000 in, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Resolution 18-119 passes. Michael, please.
Resolution 18-120, resolved that the town council hereby determines pursuant to 23 M.R.S.A. Section 3028 that the portion of the Taylor Road, also known as the Call Road, and the Jacobs Road, lying beyond the residence of Elmer Belanger, was discontinued by action of the town meeting in March of 1966, and that a public easement was retained in the discontinued road pursuant to state law. The town council further determines that the width of the public easement is 1.5 rods on each side of the center of the travel portion of the discontinued road.
I'll look for a motion from council, please.
Move we adopt resolution 18-120.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions or comments from anyone in the audience, please? Thank you. Anything from the council?
What are the legal ramifications of doing this? Are we like washing our hands of it now and it's up to them to sort it out, or what's the next step as
You
far
will
as?
go, this allows the town to send out employees to an area which is listed as no trespassing, so that we legally can go out there to measure exactly where the fence that's been installed along the road is. Is it in the actual public easement, or is it outside of the public easement? Because right now we do not know. We think we know the answer, but we do not know. So we can, at that point, decide to do something or not to do something and give the information to the individuals who will get it tomorrow. Or we may decide we want to take an action. It would be up to the town council at a later time once we know the answer.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else, council? Very well. Hearing none, I sense we're ready to vote. All those in favor of resolution 18-120, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Resolution 18-120 passes. Michael, please.
Resolution 18-121, Resolve that the town council confirm the town manager's appointment of blank as assessor and authorize the town manager to execute a contract with blank of blank in the amount of a dollar figure for 2019, another dollar figure for 2020, and another dollar figure for 2021, for a total of a dollar figure for the 3-year period.
I look for a motion from the council, please.
This has updated information from the engineer.
Move we adopt resolution 18-21 with the appointment of Robert J. Duplessis Jr. to execute a contract with RJD Appraisal of Pittsfield in the amount of $27,495, 47 days at $585 per day for 2019, $600 per day for 2020, and $615 per day for 2021, for a total of $27,495 for 2019. The number of days to be determined for 2020 at $600 per day. Number of days to be determined at 2021 at $615 per day for the 3-year period.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions or comments from anyone in the audience? Thank you. Councilors, questions or comments?
Do they offer the online mapping and map search and property search, that type of service?
That would be up to the town to install that or implement that, which we can look at.
It's not through the services from the appraisal?
No, but they have the ability to work on it.
Okay.
So they're, I think this will be a very nice enhancement here with Mr. Duplessis and the local business.
He's right here in town.
He's right here in town.
So,
We can call out and drop
great.
by. Now, the assessor that comes each week, or at least 47 weeks a year, will likely not be Mr. Duplessis because he runs the company, but he will come in on the more complicated items, the tax increment, financing, big business items, CMP, and he has a specific staff person that will be coming here to town. We did reference checks, background checks, everything checked out very well. I think that this will take care of a variety of items that we'd like to have addressed very quickly.
All right, anything else, council? Very well, hearing none, I sense we're ready to vote. All those in favor of resolution 18-121 as signified, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it, resolution 18-121 passes as noted. Article, please.
Resolution 18-122, resolve that the town council authorize the town manager or assistant to the town manager to initiate the Payport service starting January 1st, 2019 with the government of Maine, and to purchase 5 card readers for $85 each to be used in the town office and the theater.
I look for a motion from the council.
Move we adopt resolution 18-122.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions or comments from anyone in the audience? Very well, council. One change I would like to make, I would like it read, resolve that the town council authorize the town manager to initiate Payport service. You're the one that should be initiating that service.
All right, that's fine.
Ultimately, I mean, you have people that will work with you and for you, give that information, but, so I'd like to make a motion as amendment to delete the words or assistant to the town manager. So it will read, resolve town council authorize the town manager to initiate the Payport service and so on to the end. So that's my motion.
That's just signing the
That was second.
contracts and.
Correct.
Yes.
We'll
Okay.
still work on it together.
Moved and seconded. Questions or comments on that amendment, council? Very well, we shall vote on it. All those in favor of that amendment as stated, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it, that amendment passes. Motion for resolution 18-122 as amended. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Resolution 18-122 as amended passes.
Resolution 18-123, resolved that the town council accept all cash donations for the library donations, account G1-634-00 for 2018, and authorize the expenditure of the funds in accordance with town rules and regulations.
I'll look for a motion from the council.
Move we adopt resolution 18-123.
Moved and seconded. Questions, comments from the audience? Thank you, councilors.
Housekeeping.
Just a housekeeping pass.
Very,
type thing.
yeah, housekeeping. Quick question on this. I think I've asked this before in another meeting. Can we include all the rest, being that they're the same action? Or because
Yes.
okay.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we combine resolutions 18-123 through to
130.
resolution 18-130 for the sake of time. Because they're all going to the same place.
Yeah. We have a motion on the floor to act upon resolutions 18-123 through 18-130 in one step, given the same process, same reasoning, same steps involved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions or comments? Anyone in the audience? Very well. Councilors, any questions or comments on that motion?
Yeah, just to be clear, all that does is just, they're all going to the same place. It's just the fact that she has, as the town manager has to list them that way, but we can act, should we choose to just combine because they all go to the same place. So there's no, any questions on, you can pull it
It's
out.
been done time and again. Anything else, council? Very well. Hearing none, I sense we're ready to vote. All those in favor of resolutions 18-123 through and including resolution 18-130, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Resolutions 18-123 through resolution 18-130 pass. Michael, please. Resolution
18-131. Resolved that the town council appoint Stephen Seekins as code enforcement officer for the period of January 1st, 2019 through December 31st, 2019.
I'll look for a motion from the council, please.
Move we adopt resolution 18-131.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions or comments from the audience? Thank you. Councilors? Very well. Hearing none, since we're ready to vote. All those in favor of resolution 18-131, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Resolution 18-131 passes.
Resolution 18-132. Resolved that the town council appoint Stephen Seekins as licensed plumbing inspector for the period of January 1st, 2019 through December 31st, 2019.
I'll look for a motion from the council, please.
Move we adopt resolution 18-132.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions or comments from the audience? Very well. Council? Very well. Hearing none, I sense we're ready to vote. All those in favor of resolution 18-132, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Resolution 18-132 passes. Michael?
Resolution 18-133, resolved that the town council appoint Brian Croft as code enforcement officer alternate for the following areas: zoning and land use ordinances, third-party license inspector for the period of January 1st, 2019 through December 31st, 2019.
I'll look for a motion from the council, please.
Move we adopt resolution 18-133.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions or comments from the audience? Very well. Council? Questions or comments? Very well. Hearing none, I sense ready to vote. All those in favor of resolution 18-133, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Resolution 18-133 passes.
Resolution 18-134. Resolved that the town council appoint Brian Croft as licensed plumbing inspector alternate for the period of January 1st, 2019 through December 31st, 2019.
I'll look for a motion from the council, please.
Move we adopt resolution 18-134.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions or comments from the audience? Thank you, council. Very well, hearing none. Since we're ready to vote on resolution 18-134, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Resolution 18-134 passes.
Resolution 18-135, resolved that the town council appoint Albert Tempesta as code enforcement officer alternate for the following areas: zoning and land use ordinances, shoreland zoning ordinances for the period of January 1st, 2019 through December 31st, 2019.
I look for a motion from the council, please.
Move we adopt resolution 18-135.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Questions or comments from the audience? Thank you. Council? Very well, hearing none, since we're ready to vote, all those in favor of resolution 18-135, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Resolution 18-135 passes.
Resolution 18-136, resolved that the town council appoint Albert Tempesta as licensed plumbing inspector alternate for the period of January 1st, 2019 through December 31st, 2019.
I'll look for a motion from the council, please.
Move we adopt resolution 18-136.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions or comments from the audience? Thank you, councilors. Very well, hearing none, I sense we're ready to vote. All those in favor of resolution 18-136, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Resolution 18-136 passes. We shall move on to number 7, discussion items. Catherine, if you could summarize, please.
Yes, very quickly, financial reports. You have an entire package in front of you of all of the reports, and I will mention 4. For the budget expenditure report for November 30th, 2018, we approved 91.7% of the period, and 88.2% of the municipal budget has been expended, as well as 82.6% of municipal water and sewer. For the revenue collections report, revenues are running very, very low, and this is a bit worrisome. There is a massive excise tax payment coming in, so that's good. This at the end of the year. But right now, we are through 91.7% of the period for 11/30/2018, and we have collected 64.1% of the municipal revenues and 68.8% of municipal water and sewer. So there are some one-time payments that do come in the next few days, and we are anxiously watching the mail for those. Excise tax collections for this period are very good. We are $32,811 ahead of 2017 collections. And state revenue sharing, although the figures are so much less than they used to be, we are $28,160 ahead of 2017 collections. Thank you.
All right, Catherine, thank you very much. So I'll move to reports. Audience. Anyone in the audience wish to speak? Please, Michael.
Mr. Mayor, I came tonight hoping to clear up, I hope it's just a misconception. When I was hired for the job for SRO, I was told that it was going to be a temporary position because it wasn't funded in the budget, and that it would be a permanent position starting the first of the year, once this budget was approved. They sent out last week, I think I sent the mayor an email, he has it, I believe. 2 weeks ago, they sent out the insurance updates to the open enrollment. I went and talked to the town manager about that because I weren't sure exactly where I fit into that. And she told me, well, we're not going to be able to do that the first of the year because it has to be advertised. And it's a temporary position. Now, the misunderstanding, I hope, was that I left a job that I liked very well. I was paid better than I was paid here right now. And with the thought that this was going to take place the first of the year. I just want some clarification as to what the council's thought was on that and how that's going to work. Because that leaves me kind of hanging out in the wind if that doesn't happen.
Just before you answer, just so the council know, I forwarded that email to everyone with that as an attachment. We didn't get that. I think yesterday I sent it the day before, I don't recall.
Okay, sorry.
Can you pass it on the bottom so I'm sure? Okay. Yeah, please, Catherine.
Yes. Basically, there is a police union grievance on the department head's actions regarding the school resource officer position. And then the resource officer has written a letter regarding answers that ties in with this. These two items are related, and because of this, I did talk to the town attorney. They cannot be discussed in public. Any union grievance issue has to go through the proper procedures that are established in the collective bargaining agreement. Because the council potentially has a role in that process, it should not discuss issues related to the grievance outside of that process. Personnel issues are confidential. I did ask the town attorney to contact the union attorney to discuss this matter and report back. It would seem to me there must be a reasonable solution, such as simply posting the positions and following the union agreement. So the two attorneys will talk and give us an action plan
Question.
as soon as possible.
Where Mike is a temporary employee, can the town legally cover his insurance until this is resolved?
We told him we would do that.
Okay. So your insurance stays intact
And what they-
until this is done?
That's right, and what they're doing is that they've been doing that for the 4 months up to the first year. But there's other benefits that are involved in that too, that I was anticipating on. And the other thing is, I left that job being assured that this was gonna be a permanent job starting the first of the year. And now the potential is there. The way I look at it, this has to be posted, it has to go out, the whole process has to start anew. So that leaves me hanging in the wind. And it's potential. I'm not saying I'm the best guy for the job. There may be someone else that's better than I am for that job. And if that happens, that leaves me stuck out in the wind.
So again, there's a union grievance and we can't discuss it.
I've never heard about a grievance. This is the first thing I've heard about a grievance.
All right, there's a union grievance on actions that took place regarding this position. And then you have a letter requesting answers on this. And so
On the grievance?
It's all tied together and we cannot discuss it in public.
I don't have any letter with that, Mrs. Bruce. I have no letter from that.
Well, there is a grievance that's been filed on the actions of the department heads. So we need to just go through the process. And I had suggested 2 weeks ago we just post these and move it along. And the faster we post them, the faster we can move along.
Who filed the grievance?
The union.
Which
can't be discussed.
Filing for this position should, in this case, be a mere technicality, a formality. Because the intention was, and Mike is correct, when we had this discussion before, and Chief, you had mentioned it a couple times, you didn't jump ship to go work 4 months temporary and have nothing after that, especially where your insurance was going to be in question.
And I was assured by the chief, by the
We had
town
that
manager.
discussion this past summer. And
When
it was
we-
quite a full house too.
The
Yes, sir.
the problem is,
Steps have to be.
the problem is, and I'm not talking about the grievance itself, I'm just talking about the procedure. The way I understand it is that if it's a full-time position, if you don't post it, just automatically give it to somebody, then you got a grievance.
Yes, which
So-
right now we don't technically have a legal.
So what we need to do
grievance.
is have the town attorney get together with you and get together with the union, the head of the union of the police department and the chief, hash it out, and just follow the protocol. And I realistically, Mike, I don't see anybody else that's more qualified than that than you are. I just don't see it.
Should be.
But as far as your insurance goes, that was my big concern with you, because I know you need it. And we all need it, and I want to make sure that he's
We
covered.
should just post it as soon as possible.
I've heard many times of jobs being advertised for mere formality only.
And the town manager did it, when I talked to her on the 3rd of December, a week and a half ago, she assured me that we would continue on with the stipend process, that the way it is, which would work, but I just need to know that this is gonna take place. I mean,
We need to move as soon as possible and post the position.
and I mean, if there's a grievance filed against me,
No, it's not against you
It's not against you personally.
personally, no.
So when do you think this can get moved along here? Because I can understand his stress.
Oh, of course. That's why I asked for it to be posted right after the last council meeting. We just need to post them pronto.
Like
So
within-
when will this get done? This week?
Well, it should have been, she
I
told
can't
me
post-
after the 4th.
I can't post the positions. I'm not the police chief. We need a job description and post it and interview as fast as possible.
Chief, can that be posted before the end of December?
And
Well, I think you're talking about two different things. And I'm not sure if I'm supposed to bring this up or not. But
Well, at this
the
point,
job was supposed to convert to full-time on January 1st. His position was supposed to convert to full-time January 1st. That's one issue. Then, once his job converts to full-time, then we can post for the SRO position and make it competitive for all employees, which is what the contract says.
we're gonna have to post for the positions as soon as possible.
It-
And not discuss all the intricate details and just get it done as fast as possible.
It sounds like there are things that need to be done before it becomes a public
Yes.
matter, or at least before the council.
Pronto.
Is that-
Well, the position has, the people that apply for the job have to be full-time before they can apply for the job.
Mhm.
So the position,
So that's why after the first of the year.
that's what
then-
we're talking about
Gotcha,
here.
okay, all right, understood.
He has to be, the intent is the position would become full-time on January 1st.
Right.
That's what we'd all talked about and relayed in the past.
Mhm.
And then, once his job becomes full-time, then I can advertise it within the police department for anyone who's interested in it, and then
Posted
set up.
internally, yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then set up interviews. Have panel interviews.
All right, thank you.
So,
Is that-
I'm satisfied with that, but
Okay,
if I
very
could
good.
just, and as you see in that email, if you could just give me something in writing so that I mean, I'm not,
The
I have faith
communication-
in the system.
I did
But-
share that letter with the rest of the council, so they should be aware. You got that copy, right?
Yeah, I did,
Okay,
thank you.
all right.
And if I could just have something to that effect, I'd appreciate it, and I have faith in the system.
All right, thank you for sharing that. That was fine.
So the town attorney will work with the union attorney to attempt to resolve this pronto,
Okay.
as well as
Yeah,
post pronto.
the sooner the better.
Yes.
Anything else? Anyone else in the audience have any comment? Please, sir.
I have some questions.
You enjoy that, don't you? I gotta tell you, you enjoy that. I'm glad you do.
I guess I didn't
Make me
have
smile every time you
any
do that.
understanding, so I have some questions. So the pool, there's no revenue for the pool?
There is a
People
small
don't get charged like a
amount.
fee to,
There is a fee for the swimming lessons as well as other activities there, arts and crafts. And then there is no charge for.
but it's still, because the reason why I'm asking is because if you have like a YMCA or something like that, people pay. People in those towns pay a fee. Is it the same with the library? There's no fees assessed for the library?
For those who are from outside of the town, there is a non-resident fee. If you're going to take out books at the library, there's also a non-resident fee for the use of the pool. They're minor amounts, but there is a fee.
Okay, so my next comments lead to, I'm disappointed in what was cut in the budget to make up for the paving. When we have a theater that has been drowning us for years, and we need to look at doing some kind of revenue for the pool, library, theater. That theater's great, but it's been cheap for many, many years. Things need to change, because I think the cuts were made in the wrong department. That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Anything else, anyone? All right, very well. Thank you very much for coming. Before I turn over the council, I want to apologize for my outburst, Caleb, during the budget process. That was unprofessional, uncalled for. You had every right, as anyone else in this council, in this room, had the right to view their opinion I was upset, I was emotional, and that was completely unprofessional, and I apologize for doing so.
You're gonna
To-
get cold when
to
you're
you
stalking, you keep it
personally.
up. You know
I'm
that.
sorry?
You're gonna get cold when you're stalking, you keep it up. You know that, right?
Well, 10,000 years sitting on, I might have a diamond. All right, I'll start with the council. Mr. Bolster, please.
Yes, I just want to say a couple things. One is I want to thank Mike for being the mayor this year. I learned a lot from you and everyone else here on the board. I'm kind of learning as I'm going here. I'm still learning every meeting. And I want to thank the support of all you guys for this year. This has not been an easy meeting. I think it's probably one of the hardest ones that I've had so far this year. The decisions that were made, it's just not easy. And I just want to say we didn't make them just kind of like out of to attack anybody or to do anything of that sort. From my personal vote. Also, there's a couple things that I have ideas for. Perhaps this might not be the appropriate time, but I'll just mention a couple. One thing is the town has, I don't know who owns the property. It's between the old depot station and the woolly mill. Is that town-owned property?
No.
Okay. Well, what I'm getting at is the town has an opportunity to rake in more outside people coming in with the ATV access, the trail there. A lot of people take advantage of that, and I don't know who owns the property, but people park their trucks and trailers and stuff. And what I would suggest, perhaps it's been previously mentioned before and turned down for whatever reason, but I'd like to see perhaps next year looked into allowing ATV access roads in town so people could go to Vittles or Pop On Overs or Dysarts or places around town like Greenville does that brings in a lot of tourists, because we have a trail system that starts here in Pittsfield, like Newport has a trail system that starts in Newport. They're separate trails, but it could be another, as Mike says, a crown jewel, a draw to bring people here to town that wouldn't necessarily cost the town a whole lot of money or anything other than signage. I don't know what the legal process is, but I just kind of would like to get the ball started rolling, and maybe it'll never go anywhere, but that's just something that I would like to see as a goal set for me for 2019. I'd like to wish everybody a happy holiday. We won't meet again until 2019, so I'd like to do that. And that's all I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Matt. Mrs. Donahue.
I'm going to start out with a couple of things. The tree lighting for the bicentennial kickoff was pleasantly attended, a little chilly that night, but the enthusiasm of everybody involved in that and the kids that night, I think that everyone really showed some community spirit, especially our police department that was out in force on all the corners, greeting everyone, handing out candy canes, and just making themselves available to people to greet them. And I thought that was really great. I appreciated Santa's little ride in a fire truck. That was pretty cool. So that was the first thing I want to talk about. And then just wanted to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. See you at the beginning of next year. Catherine, can you give us an update on the librarian position? Lynn's leaving, so I don't know if everybody saw it on Facebook. There's a party or meet and greet type time on the 3rd at the library, so stop down and send her good wishes and bon voyage and all that. But do we have applicants yet?
We have a number of applicants, yes. The deadline is this Friday, and then interviews will commence.
And what's the plan on interviewing? Are we doing a committee like we have on the other positions, or?
No, we have Michael and myself are able to interview.
What about the trustees of the library?
I was actually given advice about not having them involved, so I didn't think of that.
Okay.
Something we may want to consider.
Yes, I know, we used to.
We
yeah.
need to reconsider that, I think. Holly has a good point. Sorry to interrupt.
No, that's fine.
Sorry.
And Mike, I hope that everything works out. I think you're doing a great job at the position, and I think it's the full intention, at least my understanding was that you had a full-time job and didn't have to reapply for it. So hopefully it's just a contract kind of glitch on that end of things that gets thought about after the fact. But hopefully that will all work out and give you a little bit of peace of mind as far as moving forward. And and I also want to reiterate my support for the police department and Chief Bickmore. Like I said, it was great to see him out with the other officers handing out candy canes and just helping people in their cars. The sidewalks are still slippery from the snow and ice a couple days before, and I think, Chief, you've made a really big impact in the town in the time that you've been here, and I hope you continue to stay, notwithstanding the not pay increase. So, and that brings me to other things. I don't usually get like this, and aside from Mike, I am going to get emotional right now, and I'm searching for words. I'm livid, I'm angry, I'm really disappointed in the council's vote tonight. I think it's very short-sighted. I think it's disgraceful that we are not supporting our departments in the ways that they need in their budget for people in order to get the jobs done that need to be done when we're always asking them to do more and more. We're asking people to constantly do more than one job. Donnie has how many jobs here at the town do you have? You know, yeah, three different positions. Donnie fills. You know, the chief fills multiple positions. Steve probably feels like he needs to clone himself because there isn't enough people around to do all the work that needs to be done. And I think that part of rebuilding our town doesn't start with just throwing pavement on the ground. It starts with having the people and the equipment in place in order to make those other things happen. I'm really, really disappointed that you waited until the 12th hour to bring this up. I'm extremely disappointed in that. I think that you had a little bit of sticker shock at the last meeting and kind of freaked out about it. And I think that you really missed the boat as far as when to contribute to the conversation in a meaningful way when we were discussing this for the last 2 or 3 months. When we came back with our committee recommendations, Bob, you were in the committee meeting and you agreed that these positions were needed, and we agreed, the three of us agreed to put this forward as recommendations for the committee. Frankly, I'm really tired of serving on committees and giving extra time to serve on the committees to bring the recommendations to this council and then have it just thrown out the window. We didn't sit there just willy-nilly and say, yeah, no. We sat there for 4.5 hours, and we went through and round about all these items to try and figure out what was the best fit for the needs for the town going forward and try to make a plan. A lot of the things in here were very thought out with a plan forward for growing the police department in a meaningful way for long-term service. And that has been just cut off at the knees. And I don't think that we're showing the support to our staff people if we're going to be doing that. And I think I need to stop there.
All right, thank you, Heather. Dr. Margolski, please.
Well, I thank Heather for taking some of my emotional stress.
I'm the woman. I'm supposed to be emotional and, that whole thing.
No, you're not. I wouldn't get away with that in my house, I'll tell you, saying that. I too am very disappointed with the councils today and serving on committees, the finance committee for the past 2 years. And I have a real issue regarding the way that committees are done. It's the first organization that I've ever been a part of, and it's public, but it's the first organization I've ever been a part of where every meeting we come in and we have no report, no report, no report. You know, Finance Committee isn't supposed to meet just once a year. Ordinance Committee, haven't had a report this year. Maybe nothing's changed, but, you know, have they reviewed anything? I don't know. I think that there needs to be, after what we went through tonight, I think there need to be changes in the budget process, how it's done, when it's done, how the planning for it is carried out. And I'd certainly like that to be a part of the thought process for next year. I'm going into my 3rd year on the council. Again, I think that the vision for the town and the council's vision have to be one. And I think that there needs to be a meeting of the minds as far as, you know, where the town needs to be in 5 years or 10 years. Because all of us, very few of us will serve as long as you, Tim, on the council. And, you know, I respect you, you know, for having given all these years to the town for that. And I think that the council needs to be more than just a rubber stamp for, you know, what any town manager may or may not want to do. And it's nice for the council to say that we'd like the taxes to remain flat with no increase. But the reality is that everybody deserves a decent wage. We all know that there needs to be a certain number of people around to do the work that's required. And I think for years we've gotten away doing a lot with a little. And I think, as I said before, we're paying the price now. So I think the vision for the town and the council's vision needs to change. I think we need to be much more forward-thinking. And just because the council says we want the taxes to remain flat, if the town manager feels that we need to make certain repairs, he or she needs to bring that as a priority to the council and say we need some way to figure it out. As far as what we did to the police department tonight, I am disgusted as well. And I hope the 1.5 miles of road that we get paved for the $130,000 that we put in the line item will be used completely. I'd like to understand where the $500,000 that was initially in the budget that we discussed as far as using the Pittsfield future money for equity went, because I didn't see it here tonight. And I'm a little disappointed with that. Usually, last meeting of every year, as I've understood in the past, and as it was last year, we have an evaluation of the town manager in executive session. Apparently, it's not occurring this year. I don't know why, but I think that's inappropriate that it's not been done. In closing, Mike, I want to thank you for doing an excellent job this year.
Thank you.
I think that you have pushed the envelope in a little bit of a different direction, and hopefully we can continue that in the future. Your presence will be missed. I really mean that. And I just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Hanukkah, whatever else. And look forward to 2019 that is as good or better than this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Doc. Mr. Nichols.
This is a tough meeting. There's no good decisions made, no matter how you slice it. It sounds like excuses, but the bottom line is one of the things that gets left out is the fact that, unfortunately, what happens 8 years ago affects everything now. And 8 years ago, we were in the middle of a recession, and people were losing houses for back taxes, and we went to court on a couple of them, and the council's direction given to the town manager at the time was that the townspeople couldn't afford the tax increase, so now we're paying for it, unfortunately. That kind of gets left out of the equation sometimes. It's not, you point fingers at everybody all day long. The bottom line is it is what it is. And like I said 100,000 times, and I know people get sick of hearing it, but it's the truth. And unfortunately, what drives me and my constituents is the fact that if you don't have the money to give you, they can't give it to you. It's just that simple. I can't take nothing from here and give you something here. It ain't there. Now, does that mean that we let it fall apart? No. And going forward, I'm hoping that we'll get out of this thing once and for all and move forward. As far as Howard goes, thank you for those kind words of putting all these years in. I appreciate it very much. There are times, Howard, when I wonder why I do it myself. I'm going to be honest with you. You know, I'm sick tonight. I could be home watching basketball or sleeping. But I feel that the town that I grew up in was good to me. I was a fence kid. I could have went. My father always said, I thought you spent half your life behind bars. I just didn't think it would be on that side of the aisle, that's all. That was his big thing. And a lot of people looked out for me in this town when I was a kid. And I feel that I owe that to the town. I've said it before and I'll say it again. If you can serve, you should. Now, is it tiring? Is it you know, does the wheels grind slow? Is it, you know, does progress take 5 steps forward, 4 backward? Yes. But if nobody steps up, nothing's going to get done, not even that 1 step forward. So I look at it like I'm trying to give back to the community because the community gave to me. And that's just exactly, I don't have my own business. I have my constituents. They're my boss. They put me here. It's no more, I'm not a complicated guy. That's how I operate. That's it. They tell me the direction they want me to go in. And those decisions are based on that right there, nothing else. And it's not and believe you me, I don't have anything against the police department. I don't have anything against any department here. I think they deserve 3 times what they're getting. The bottom line is you can't take something from here, nothing from here, and put something here. That's the sad part of the whole thing. It really, really stinks. But it is what it is. We'll get through this year, and hopefully next year, maybe it'll be a better year, and we can fix some of this stuff. I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, Mike. It's been very, very nice working with you. I'm going to miss you on the council. We've known each other for decades. And I wish you, my friend, nothing but luck in the future.
Thank you very much.
I know we talked, we won't go on to that publicly, but I wish you really good luck in that. I got my fingers crossed that comes through because I think you'd be a perfect fit for that. You know what I'm talking about.
Thank you, Tom.
Yeah. And I hope everybody drives safe, have a good Christmas. And Mike Cray, stay tuned, my friend. It'll be fine. And that's it.
All right, thank you, Tim. Mr. Curtis.
Well, I typically don't leave town council meetings feeling like I ruined everybody's day.
You'll get cold.
I know that there are quite a few people that are disappointed in me that aren't normally disappointed in me. But I guess, and no matter what I say, it probably really doesn't change how you're going to feel about me. But I will say, a fact is that this was not some like play that I've been thinking about for a long time. And I do agree with Howie that I think we should change how the budget process goes so that we don't have like what happened last meeting where we finally get to see like the big picture on the last meeting or like the meeting before the last meeting, so that we get a chance to see the like big picture and then get to react to it, because this is it's a difficult thing to do, and I feel like it's a problem, and that we need to try. It's difficult to build something and then stand up and then start hacking at it. But when it sounded like a better idea when I was kind of putting the idea together in my head, because it put the police department growing more in line. It's not like it just put the police department growing in my mind. It put them growing more in line with the way that the other budgets grew. Instead of like 50%, it was more like a 30% or 25% growth. So when I was putting it together, I didn't think I was going to get quite this negative Heather and Howie and Mike. I didn't. My dream was to have my thought was to have the money to have money for paving in this budget, and I was having a hard time getting on board with the 10% increase anyways. So that's where that's where my idea came from, and it's not a hack at anybody. Even though I know it feels like I know you, I can hear the way that you talked there a few minutes ago towards me that you're upset at me, and I am sorry. But this is it's times like those that make me not really like this. This is the process that I don't like. But I guess that's all I have to say.
All right, thank you, Caleb. Mr. Stackhouse, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't have a whole lot to say. We sit on this council, and we have to make tough decisions. I understand I was on the budget committee, finance committee, that went over most of that tonight. But there was an issue, I had an issue with, I guess it was a meeting I must have missed, that gave that big percentage increase to that department. And I think if I had been here, I probably wouldn't have voted for it that night. So I was just, like Tim said, we have to do many things that we don't like, but I'm sorry, I'd like to give every department a 50% raise. They all deserve it. Steve's out there many hours sanding. Donnie's doing 3 jobs, and the chief's doing, I don't know how many jobs. I think he said 10 minutes ago, but I'm not sure. I'd like to give them all a raise, but we just can't do it. That's all I'm going to say on that. Mike, thank you for stepping up and taking over as mayor for this year. You've done a great job.
Thank you, Bob.
We are going to miss you. Look forward to seeing you in the future. Good luck with whatever you do.
I'll be watching.
And Merry Christmas to everybody, and Happy New Year. That's all I have this evening.
All right, thank you, Bob. I have just a few words I want to read. I'm not going to make comments or editorialize. It's not my place anymore. So, just give me a couple minutes. First, I wish to thank the members of the public who have shown up not only tonight, but many prior meetings. As councilors, we hope to see the audience filled, but that rarely happens. Democracy only happens when people take part, stand up, and speak out, so thank you all. And second, I want to commend all the employees of Pittsfield. As I've said many times before, they exemplify a solid work ethic and have performed above and beyond the call of duty many times. They are Pittsfield's true jewel in our crown. Third, I want to thank the councilors, both past and present, with whom I have served. We have not always agreed on all topics, and I hope that you have considered me respectful and worthy of representing the people of Pittsfield. While she was battling with a cancer and with the passing of my sweet wife Jane last year, I was unable to attend all the meetings required. I was touched by your concern, caring, and support to allow me to return and serve as best as I was able. It was a very trying time for me and my family, and the small gestures that you showed me meant a great deal to me. I have enjoyed every minute of serving, and it is bittersweet that I end my tenure, both as councilor and especially mayor. I hope that I've been able to represent the interest of the citizens of Pittsfield professionally and respectfully, and I have complete faith that the town is in very good hands with Matt Bolster, Heather Donahue, Doc Margolski, Tim Nichols, Caleb Curtis, Bob Stackhouse, and incoming Councilor Deb Billings. With that, I will issue a challenge to all of you. Have the courage to make the tough decisions. Have the will to do what it takes. Have the foresight to think beyond business as usual and consider more what-ifs. And finally, have the compassion to remember those you serve and why you are here. My life has followed a less than straight and narrow path, and decisions have been forced upon me and my family. I do not know exactly where I'm going or where I will end up, but wherever that may be, I will always call Pittsfield home, and you my extended family. So with that, I will say thank you all. I will see you again, and a very Merry Christmas, everyone. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'll look for a motion for adjournment.
I move we adjourn.
Are those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we are adjourned. Thank you. Really? Really? Honestly? Congratulations, it's about time. Yeah, I'm all set with that. That's all set.
Can I get some signatures for you?
Oh, yeah.
You.
Hey, Mike.
There's a whole pile of warrants too that need to be signed.
Well, I briefly, but yeah, I think that was gonna make a whole lot of difference.
Just on these,
Michael.